main characters, they trade their 84 sheepdog van for a 1970s scooter to travel across the country. For Chris and I, this lit the spark. And we scoured Craigslist high and low, and for about 15 minutes, we ended up landing on our first moped. We found a locally available 1989 Yamaha Raz. This moped had everything. Cherry red body panels, functioning gauges, 4,000 miles on the odometer, and to top it off, a basket in the front and a trunk in the back, each which could carry a case of beer. Chris and I had it figured out. I'd use the moped in the morning, I'd do my classes, I'd come home for lunch, we would eat together, have a beer or two, and then in the afternoon he'd go to his classes. We had it figured out. With this little procedure, we used a whopping 1 gallon of fuel per week on this beer run machine. The next semester rolled around and it was clear that our half days of sharing were no longer an acceptable way of mopeding. Our hobby turned into a full-blown passion. Chris proceeded to scour Craigslist once again, and after again about 15 minutes, he landed on his second moped. This moped had everything. A 1987 Honda Spree, jet black body panels, retro pink graphics on the side, 6,000 miles on the odometer. And to top it off, a luggage rack in the back which could carry, you guessed it, a case of beer. Chris bought the bike and I bought up the rest of the Raz, so we had our 2 mopeds and we would now cruise the Madison streets left and right at a burning top speed of 30 miles an hour. You know how they sound, you kind of, that was us going through the town. We racked up thousands of miles in Dane County, had a lot of fun, convinced many of our friends to buy these mopeds, ultimately founded our own gang called the Moped Medics, a gang still thriving today. One particular biker gang ride, Chris and I were riding to our respective classes at 11 a.m. on a Friday. You know where this is going. Earlier that day, Chris had been struggling with some electrical issues with his bike, and he completed some primitive rewiring efforts in order to make his bike run again. Now, it's worth mentioning that at the time, Chris was in business school, and they don't teach a whole lot of electrical engineering in business school. That said, Chris liked working on his moped. He's a do-it-yourselfer, and he figured it out, and at the same time, he was determined to graduate with what he called an honorary engineering degree, or HED for short, which is a fake degree that Chris made up that he was going to graduate with from UW-Madison and become a self-proclaimed mechanic in the future. Anyhow, Chris meddled with the wiring and bypassed a few of those useless fuses, and got the bike running, and we rode to class together, and all was good. So we were riding, feeling good. We were looking cool, had the sunglasses on, you know. Our hair was blowing in the breeze at the time, and no helmets, and riding side by side, just having a good time. And of course, we were noting that we were late to class because we had too much fun at some really cool party the night before. So we're about to part ways. We're going to class. We're side by side. I'm gonna turn left. And I look over at Chris, and the body panels are still off of his moped because of the surgery he had performed for the electrical work. So it looked more like a war relic than it really did a moped, but whatever works. And I spied off the back the electrical wires that Chris had been working with. And lo and behold, off of those wires dangling off the back, open flames were billowing off the back of the moped. So Chris is now burning down the street. I'm riding next to him. Again, we're late for class. And I look over and I go, Chris, you're on fire. I gotta go. And I proceeded to turn left to class to go to my, engineering, whatever class it was. And Chris, a couple, blocks down, put the fire out, found a mechanic that could help him rewire the bike. And long story short, it all worked out okay. But still to this day, I will never hear the end of the quote from Chris. He says, Tyler, you're such a best friend. You abandoned me while I was on fire in order to go to class. My response still to this day is, hey Chris, it's a key lesson in your unofficial honorary engineering degree. Flame-free moped rides continued for years. We owned and sold multiple mopeds, increased our gang size to about 10 moped medics, all said and done, and even rode side by side to our graduation ceremony. And at that time, we also recreated a Dumb and Dumber scene where on our last day of class, you and I were riding two up on an iconic Yamaha Raz moped at Sun. So Chris, I present to you a relic which can hang in your garage for years to come of Tyler and Chris on the right and on the left, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. Now, Kylie, I have a gift for you too. Since the moped days of college, Chris has come a long way. He's moved to Arizona, bought himself a house, totally remodeled that house, and using his honorary engineering degree, completely restored the house and it prevented any electrical fires from occurring in the act, which was a good thing. But most importantly, he found himself a beautiful bride who means the absolute world to him. I've known Chris for 15 years, and since the first time he explained Kylie to me, I knew that something very special had happened. I couldn't be happier to see the both of you together, so committed and so united on this day. I think all of us can feel the love and happiness in the room because of you both. As an important safety measure going forward, I would like to gift you, Kylie, with something of a little bit of long-term value. I present to you the 1987 Honda Spree wiring diagram, such that if Chris does any electrical work going forward, it can be properly and safely completed, and no one will ever have to be abandoned on a moped while on fire ever again. Please learn from my mistakes. With that, I would like everyone to raise their glass and congratulate this couple on their beautiful marriage. Congratulations, Chris and Kylie.
You have an incredible